guys, it's Nadine. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back at it again with another video. This time it's tips on how to get regular students, not only on Engoo but on other ESL platforms as well. By the way guys, if you don't know me, hi, my name is Nadine. I'm a online English tutor at Engoo. I also work as a virtual assistant at another company, and I'm also a marketing student. With that said, if you're into study videos or work from home videos, please do subscribe down below and I'll try to make more videos related to that content. So, let's begin. Okay, so as I said earlier, it's episode number 6, tips to get regular students, not only on Engoo but on other ESL platforms as well. By the way, guys, I just want to say that the tips I got in here were tips I was able to research or get from other ESL tutors or from other ESL threads, other ESL groups, and it really helped me a lot. So I think it was worth making a summary of them and sharing them with you guys so that it would be easier for you to take note of and it would be easier for you to watch. Tip number 1 is to maintain or keep a consistent schedule. Remember guys, students usually have schedules too. So if you happen to be teaching at a consistent time schedule, it's more likely that they'll book another class around that same time on the next day and repeat and repeat and repeat until they become regulars. It's not really for sure, it's just that doing or having a consistent schedule would increase the probability of having regular students. Now when it comes to Engoo, if you want a afternoon shift, I just want to inform you guys that during the afternoon, it's usually kids, high school students, adults, seniors, really a mix of everything. But when it's night shift already or nighttime, usually it's college students and adults based on my experience. Next tip would be to look presentable. So you really need to look like a professional. Of course, when you look presentable and you look like a professional, it's like you're building credibility as well, and the student usually thinks that you know much more than what you actually know. So that applies to me as well. As I mentioned earlier, I am still a university student, which I think puts me at a disadvantage, especially when I'm handling older or working professionals. So I really try to look more presentable and more professional so that I don't look as young as I actually am. So how do we look presentable? I think it's very important to have a nice background. As you can see, I have a plain white background so that the student can just focus on me. And then good lighting is also important. If you can afford a ring light, please do get one. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be enough to actually bring good lighting to your setup. And then of course, wear presentable clothes. What I usually do is I just wear a blazer over any t-shirt that I have. If you don't like blazers, it's too hot, you can opt for a shirt with a collar. As long as it looks presentable, I think it's good. And then of course, I try to wear some makeup as well. If you like going full-blown makeup, you can do it. But for me, I only do lipstick, and I usually choose the color that is bright because usually when I wear nude lipsticks, it doesn't show in the screen, so I have to wear something bright so that at least it shows on the screen and at least the student feels like I prepared a little extra for that class. Personally, I think as tutors, we should always look presentable in class, of course, because I think the student is actually paying for that as well. For us to look presentable, neat, and of course, be professional towards our work. Next is to always smile. Of course, you want to look approachable to the students. It's also important to be lively and, of course, use hand gestures as much as you can, but really it depends on the student because some students I think don't like hand gestures, some like them, but if you're handling a beginner, I think it's better to use hand gestures for emphasis. For example, hand gestures like, okay, can you hear me? Can you see me? Things like that, I think it's very important, especially when handling beginner students. And then, of course, you always have to adjust to the student. If he or she is speaking slow, I think it's better that you try to speak slower as well. If you can see that the student is a bit advanced already and is already speaking fast, I suggest that you keep up with his or her pacing so that he or she would be more satisfied. Yeah, I think adjusting to the student is very important when it comes to teaching. Because of course, students vary. Some students like to read slow or are beginners. Some are advanced, like to read fast and all. So we really need to adjust to every student each class. Next is to have a creative introduction. So they say first impression lasts. So it's better to have a unique introduction that sets you apart from other tutors. For example, it may be that you can play violin, you like hiking, or you like to eat 2 burgers a day. Any interesting fact about you that would help you be remembered by the students. Just like the same way that I personally don't remember all of my students' names, I only remember what they said that day or what made them so different. So, in that same way, the students will probably not remember your name, but they will definitely remember the interesting thing you said that day, and that will actually help them to book you again and eventually get to know you better, know your name and such. So, yeah, it's very important to have a unique and creative introduction. Next is, of course, to try to build a connection during the introduction. Instead of just asking, "How are you today?" I add other questions like, "How are you feeling today? What were you up to this week? Is there something new you'd like to do?" I think questions like this showcase how much you care about the student, and it creates an impression in them that, hey, this person is genuine, this person is true, and this person is actually approachable and nice. So I think I like this person. Something like that. But again, of course, it varies from student to student because some students don't like to be asked a lot of questions, but other students like to ask questions themselves. So again, it's very important to adjust to your student. Kailangan nyo talaga silang timplahin. So yeah. Tip number 5, of course, is to listen to your student. Listening to him helps you get to know him or her better through his or her verbal and nonverbal cues. When you listen to your student, it's easier to adjust to his or her pacing. When you listen to your student, mas madali din siyang timplahin kung ano ba yung ugali niya, ano ba yung gusto niya, yung ayaw niya. So for me, I always pay attention to the introduction part and the discussion. And while the student is speaking, I usually type in what he or she says so that when I write the lesson notes, it would be so much easier for me. Tip number 6 is to ask follow up questions. Now, this is one of the most popular tips that teachers give. Follow up questions make the lesson a little bit more different. So, I can attest to that because there was a day that I got really low scores or really low ratings. So, I did the research on what to do, and then when I applied these techniques, specifically the follow up questions, I began getting super good ratings. I think I haven't had any bad rating in a long time now. Ever since I've followed these tips that I've been sharing with you guys, everything went well for me. So I really hope that it will go well for you as well. Always ask follow up questions and be creative with your follow up questions as well. These follow up questions make the lesson a little bit harder and a little bit more interesting because it helps the student think more. Because other students can read the material beforehand, but the follow up questions, they're the ones that come in unexpected and they're the ones that make the lesson more interesting. Tip number 7 is, of course, acknowledgement. Always praise the student. So, words like good job, great, super, that's awesome, you did great today, wow, that's so nice. Things like that really give the students a boost in their confidence and in their speaking skills. So I think it's very important to acknowledge students and encourage them to speak more English or to speak English more. Tip number 8 is to end on a good note. So, what I usually do is 1 to 2 minutes before the lesson time ends, I begin with the praises, which is good job, great job on this, great job on that, and then the strengths. For example, hey, you've been progressing in this one, your pronunciation is really good, you can read very nicely, and then, of course, areas for improvement. If there aren't any points for improvement, what I usually do is give in recommendations instead, other materials that are a little bit more harder that would definitely help the student improve his or her English more. So, for example, if the student has been taking conversation materials already for such a long time, for example, maybe around 300 lessons or 200 lessons, I then suggest the student to move on to a daily news material so that it would be a level up for him or her. So at the end of the lesson, of course, you want the student to feel good, accomplished, and encouraged so that he or she would book another class on the next day and hopefully it's gonna be your class. Tip number 9 is to write good lesson notes. So although the minimum requirement is only 2 words and 2 sentences, I write at least 3 sample sentences and 3 sample words from the lesson. When writing the lesson notes or the message to the student, I also include some topics we discussed earlier that are maybe outside of the topic. For example, I heard that his or her dog is sick. I'm gonna tell him that I hope your dog gets well soon and other things like that, just to again make the student feel that I care about him. Although I really care about that student, of course, I really care about my students. It just adds that extra step that hey, I really care for you and I hope you get or and I hope you get well soon, something like that. And of course, at the end, I always praise the student. Again, good job today. I hope to see you again soon. Take care and stay safe. Something like that, guys. Just remember to make your lesson notes more personalized, more sincere, and of course, more encouraging. Now, for my other tips or other practices worth doing, do a test call 5 minutes before the lesson starts to make sure that your audio and video is working properly. Enter the lesson room 3 to 5 minutes before the lesson starts because sometimes it's a little bit hard to get into the lesson room. And you know, guys, in Engoo, if you're 3 minutes delayed in entering the lesson room, the lesson is automatically cancelled. So yeah, other than that, do a speed test and of course have backup internet connection. So my internet connection is most of the time really stable, but there was an instance wherein I just lost internet connection and I had a lot of classes booked that day. So what I had to do was, of course, it was a good thing that I had mobile data. So since then I've been getting mobile data every week just so that if in any case my internet doesn't work, I can still teach and I won't get any cancellations at all. So yeah, guys, that's all for today. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. If this video helped you a lot and you want to apply to Engoo, feel free to check out my other videos and please do put me as your referrer. My name is Nadine. My tutor name again is Nadine and my tutor ID is M8076. Again, M8076. If you're not an online English tutor but you want to refer your friend, please do direct him or her to my videos. I really hope it would help and really again, it would help me also if you put me as your referrer once you pass the demo lesson. So again, guys, thank you so much, guys, for watching. I hope that you would like this video and hit the subscribe button down below. God bless you guys and always remember, Jesus loves you. Bye!